So start whenever. All right.
Whoa.
Well, it's been a while since we met, man. I mean, last
Are
week
we
was
live
Den.
right now?
Yeah. All right. Let's start over. I really hate you right now. How am I supposed to get back on in this moment?
You'll be able to do
All right. Are you ready, Matt? Okay. Um.
it. I totally threw you off.
You did. Well, with me as always is Pastor Nate Bills and myself, Nate Kingsbury. And last week we were able to spend some time with Den and really talk that really that the older generation matters. So it's pretty cool chatting with Jen. I don't know if you heard that when I was talking to him or not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you really listen, Nate? I just want to be honest. Like we're did you miss it or did you hear
Dude, don't put me on blast.
it? Do you realize how many
Oh
times you
my
asked me?
gosh.
Did you listen to my message on Sunday?
Ask me a question about it and let's see if I can answer it.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what you always say to me.
Ask me a question.
I know you listen. It was at your former church, so I'm sure you did. But anyway, today it's episode 28, and today is our like leadership focus, and we're really talking about like the three dimensions of a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I've growing up, I always heard this from many of the pastors that I was been a part of, or the churches, and even different speakers. But really, this kind of idea actually comes from John Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I think it's called the 360-degree leadership model.
Yep.
It was actually put on by him in his book that he wrote. And so a lot of different speakers have been using this.
Could you imagine being
yeah.
John Maxwell?
Oh, man.
I mean, like every time that guy opens his mouth, there's just like brilliant stuff that comes out.
I know.
Could you even imagine coming up with all like the saint leadership quotes?
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
he's still continuing to do
he's
great.
amazing.
And you know what's funny is most of what we hear sometimes with leadership is actually probably from him.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
You know what I mean? And
most,
people might not be even be
quote him.
and not even say that it's him because they're not thinking it. They don't even know it's him.
He began as a Wesleyan, didn't he?
He did.
That's what's amazing.
Yeah, he was
But
at
you
a
see the
Skyline
platforms.
Wesleyan church.
Oh man, you see the platforms he's on now with like just people from every denomination, every business. I mean, there's not a business like, leadership convention where he's not at it. So.
I met him one time.
Did you? How'd that go?
Oh, it didn't go
I'm sure
good.
he was impressed by you.
No, it's pretty hilarious. We were at this big convention.
Yeah.
And I saw like this hallway, this big, huge stairs that went up, and there was an elevator that you can get on that I saw him go up. So I just decided I'm going to go up these stairs.
Yeah.
So the stairs were crazy. Like it was so many stairs to get up. Like I don't know how many floors it was.
Were you out of breath when you got to the top?
Well, I was thinner then. Okay. But as I'm going up these stairs, I just acted like I belonged there. So
I'm trying to imagine
I'm
you.
going past like security and all these people. And
You're trying to be professional.
Yeah.
I'm
And
trying
just
to
walking
imagine
up,
what that's like.
And I went all the way up to the top room, and someone at the door there said, "Hey,
you don't
can I
look
help
like you belong here."
He basically called me out, and I said, and John was right there, and I said, "I just wanted to take the time to meet you. I appreciate you," and I shook his hand.
Do you think he'd remember you?
Oh no. There's no way. But I was so proud of myself for walking up all the way up there.
Good for you.
So anyway.
If you would have had your glasses on though, they probably would have let you in the door.
I would.
Because you look much more professional with your.
Yes,
Where are your glasses, by the way?
I left them at my desk.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me. Nate.
You didn't forget them at home or anything.
No, I think they're here.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so as we kind of talk through this, I want to talk about the first one and.
So, but just before, like the whole idea behind the whole 360, idea that John Maxwell presented, this 360-degree leadership, it's the whole understanding or idea that leadership isn't just like a position, it's more directional, less positional, more directional, because no matter what direction you're pointed, you're leading someone.
Yeah.
You're either leading up, you're leading across, and we'll get into these, leading down or leading yourself. So at every single point in your life, regardless of what position you actually carry, you're leading.
Yeah.
So it's way more directional than just a title that goes along with your name. And I think that that's really like the key idea here is everyone leads someone.
Yeah, I think it's cool too to think you got a boss
Mm-hmm.
who is in charge of you, but how can you lead up to your boss? Like, how
Yeah.
can you make a difference in that boss's life?
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
it's kind of neat. So I used to always think of that when I had a lead pastor and I was a staff pastor. I thought, how can I take something off of him,
Mm-hmm.
or how can I somehow? I remember one time I went into one of the pastor's office and I was chatting with him, and I could tell that he was really discouraged. And I was like, "Can I pray for you?"
Mm-hmm.
And I remember how significant that was for the pastor that I was with at that time.
Yeah.
It's basically like, yeah, I absolutely need it.
That's cool. Yeah.
So we never know. Leading up could be us just noticing that they're a leader too, and
Yeah.
they need us to help them.
Yeah. You don't lead from, I think, unfortunately, we get in this habit of believing that you actually lead from a position.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people that have a title,
Yeah.
on their name. And unfortunately, the same amount of leadership doesn't go with that title, because if you're not intentional about it, so you don't really lead from a position as much as it's like a posture in your life. Like you're saying, like, even if you're lower than somebody, you have the ability to lead up, because if you see things and if you're constantly like aware, it's way more about your character, about the service that you provide, about action, than it is just about, the fact that you've worked your way up a ladder and now you have this title that goes with your name. So, yeah, I think it'll be a fun conversation today.
Yeah, the neat thing though, and I mean, we're not even really kind of going through material, but just talking openly with you is the thought that you do a good job leading up even to me, like to the way you step in, and the funny thing is, I think there's needs to be a humility in leaders too that says the staff member that is under me actually has a lot that I can learn from.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of relationship that you and I have.
Yeah.
I sometimes I've even told people like, yeah, I lead, but Nate kind of leads right beside me. Like, it's not like I might have the title as the person that's leading, but I don't feel that way with you and I, because there's that give and take that exists. But
and it takes humility, and that's why
for both people, really.
And that's why it's worked with us. I mean, you have somebody in your position with your title, and if they don't have the humility to actually allow those under them to lead up, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've done a great job in empowering and allowing others to do that, you know, here in this culture. So,
well, let's look at this first one. It says leading up is influencing supervisors by lightening their load, being reliable, and supporting their vision. So it's kind of neat. John Maxwell actually says this. It says leading up is not about climbing the ladder, but it's about adding value to those above you, ultimately strengthening the entire organization. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is the one I think that might challenge people the most. I mean, like, of course, like when we get into talking about leading yourself, it's a challenge to lead yourself. And if you're not leading yourself, you're not leading others. But I think this might be the one that challenges people the most, just simply because I think a lot of times we tend to think like, why would I try to lead somebody that's higher up than me? Or even how can I lead somebody that's higher up than me? Forgetting that leadership isn't really about authority as much as it is about influence. Like, if you have influence, even if you don't have the title or you're below someone else, you have the ability to lead in those moments. So
and I think that's true too. Like, when there sometimes, even like in our case with you and I, like there's some times where you're a great leader and I might be that person in the position of main pastor, but the reality is you lead, and I think those leaders rise to the occasion. And I think many times there's many moments, man, where you lead this church in my absence and in just everyday life. So appreciate that, man, about you,
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, obviously. It's so much, Nate, and you know this just as much as I do. Like, the more you're able to like find people's value, the more you're able to like identify that. Leadership is about them taking their value and adding that into like moments, us giving people the ability to be empowered to lead, but then they bring their value What they're not trying to do, and this is where it kind of goes wrong, is if somebody's just trying to gain a position, that's where, the train comes off the tracks. Like if what they're really trying to do in leading up is just bring the value that God has given to them into the mix of like the culture, that's where as a team, there's great collaboration that goes on. Everybody, has their voice and brings their voice to the table. And it's not about people like scratching for position or titles. So
it's also the motive of a heart of a person. Like it kind of goes down when a person is leading up and they're coming from a heart that's like the Lord, it's unbelievable. And that's why, like, when you're like saying, hey, Nate, that's not the way it is, or you can have very hard conversations with me and tell me how it is, but I know that your heart is genuine.
Yeah.
So I know that you're for me, you're not against me. So I'm always, it's a wide open opportunity for you to lead up in my life. And I think as leaders, we have to allow people to let others on our staff actually teach us and listen to them and walk with what they have to say and believe in what they say.
Yeah.
So,
and I think for as much as we think this is really difficult to do is to lead up.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of the simplest ways to just begin is just by being reliable.
Yeah.
I think John Maxwell talks about that. Like, if you can be reliable, you actually have the opportunity to lead up.
Yeah.
I mean, leaders want to see other people that they're consistent, they're reliable, they're trustworthy. Like, if you can bring those things to the table, you actually have the opportunity to influence others.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember being on staff and you could see way back in the day who was really reliable that the lead pastor would go to, and who's the ones that he'd kind of stay back, but he'd always go to those guys that or girls that would know they're going to get it done. I can count on them. And you see leaders do that at times. And
I heard somebody say one time that consistency builds trust faster than charisma ever will.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, Nate.
Did you memorize that right there?
I did.
Or did you have it written in your notes?
No, actually, I remembered that because
Wow,
somebody, I can't remember who told me. But if you think about it, dude, I don't know what's up with your mic.
I know, my mic is weird,
Your mic
man.
keeps like running away
Dropping.
from you. But if you think about it, when you think of a leader, unfortunately, we fall into like the habit of thinking it's like the loudest, most like charismatic person in the room. And yet those who are leaders are the ones who are consistent, trustworthy, reliable. Those are leaders. And that's what I would really challenge people to think about is just, be consistent. It's going to get you a lot farther than charisma.
Yeah.
Be reliable. It's going to get you farther than people with a lot of charisma. I mean, somebody that comes on strong, it's like a flash in the pan. Maybe for a moment, people are going to start following them. But if they're not consistent, if they're not reliable and trustworthy, it's going to all go to the wayside.
I agree with that. He said too, I like this, but that when you lead up, you're lightening your leader's load. You're solving problems before and you're reaching them and you're offering solution, not issues.
That's good.
And I like that because like when you're going to a leader and you have the solution, you're taking that off their plate. You're actually taking that from them.
Yeah.
I've had people in our church, and I love this church, and some of the people that just say, hey, I got that. Don't worry about it. Like when someone does that, it's like, wow, you don't even know how to handle it when someone does it. But I think that that's a part of leading up. I got that. You don't have to do that. Even when people have said like, Nate, I don't think you should spend your time doing that. Like I do this thing called the standard week, and some people pick on me about it, but I've had some people that looked at that on the board say, why are you doing that? You know what I mean? You can give that over to somebody, and in that is just someone actually leading me by calling that out on the standard week to say, hey, this is something that can be done by someone else. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, when people identify the issue and then come to you like with a solution, that's leading up. Yeah. Recognizing things that need to get done and then just doing it or, saying, hey, just like you said, like, I got this, like, this is what I'm going to do. But I think that's, those are good moments where people leave up. I think John Maxwell also talks about like the importance, if you're going to lead up, the importance of respecting like the leaders, like the person above you's time. Like time is money, time is valuable. So, make sure you're respecting their time.
You guys remember in that, I just put this in my notes, but remember Keith Drury back in the day? Like Keith Drury was so busy all the time. Okay. Always had something going on.
Yeah.
But he would say often, he's like, hey, if you need to talk, you just walk with me. So like do you remember that?
Yeah.
So, but his time was valuable. So you took the time to just walk with him. Just
even
to
if
chat.
that meant you're walking from like the Christian Ministries building to like, the dining hall. Like those were moments that he was willing to give to you. But it might not be like at his desk.
Yeah.
If he's got to go somewhere, you're going to spend your time going with him.
You took the moment that you had with him, and you took those, that walk to get it all in.
Yeah.
And you still felt like you were invested in. But at that time, I never realized it. I always thought that was significant. But he took the time. But I also was valuing his time by saying, hey, I'm not setting up an appointment, but I'm going to walk with you. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think to kind of go along with this first point as we talk about leading up, always like asking how you can help.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. If we wait around until somebody asks us, like, don't wait to be asked.
Yeah.
Ask somebody, like, what can I do to help? Like, that's showing, obviously, like being proactive, being there in the moment and not just like letting time go to waste. So
it really goes back when a leader comes up in church and says, I can do that. I got that. I'll take that. Like awesome. I even look at our first impressions, Terry has done a great job on it. You know what I mean? So like in that, like everybody has, but she's kind of stepped in. Yeah. She said, hey, I think I can help with this. And it's going a lot better. When people do that, or a guy named Phil in the church that says, hey, I want to redo Discover Stoney and type it up a little bit different.
Yeah.
And when he did that at first, I'm like, well, I like how Discover Stoney is.
Yeah.
But yet what he was doing is he's seen things that could actually make it better. And he says, I can do that. I like that. Do you mind if I do that?
That's good. Yeah.
So that's just a way of leading up. I like this one, but stand by them publicly, show loyalty and reinforce their decisions.
Yeah.
When someone on staff or someone that's significant within the church does that, it gives credibility to the leader, and it actually builds confidence in the leader that, wow, they stood with me in that moment. And sometimes as a leader, when you have somebody that you thought would stand with you and then doesn't, you feel that weight.
Oh yeah.
So it's just, that's pretty significant, man, when you look at leading up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it is like, we often will tell people like, listen, if there's an issue, let's talk about it in private. I mean, because when we're unified in public, we know that, that's going to build trust amongst us in private. So, it's even if you might not agree 100%, even if you might not agree 100%, the important thing is to continue to go along with it. And then once you're kind of off the record, once you maybe are behind closed doors, then you can bring it up. And a good leader is not going to have an issue with that.
Yeah.
They're not going to have an issue just because somebody's going to, try to bring their own like feelings or questions, questioning certain things. But it's obviously always done, better done when it's behind closed doors or in private.
But I think as a leader, you just have to have the humility that says, I'm willing to learn from everybody. So the hard part is when you are trying to lead up though, and the leader doesn't like you giving an input. And I don't know if you've had scenarios like that before with leaders, but there has been moments where I've been with people and it's like, so I have to find a different way to lead up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's encouraging them in the decisions that they did make. And maybe leading up is just kind of keeping my comments to myself. And when I'm asked to actually follow through and do it, so.
Yeah. Well, point number 2 in this 360 leadership progression is just the idea of leading across. And I think John Maxwell actually talks about, how this is where a lot of culture is really either built up or broken down, because this is like you and me. This is where we interact with other people. It's been said, and I think John Maxwell is the one that talks about it, like you don't really experience culture from the top. Like when you're at the top, you're not really amongst like everyone else experiencing the culture as they are. You really experience it from the side or like with, across from each other. So being across from people is really just this idea of like trying to work together, like being unified, but working alongside, shoulder to shoulder with people. And that's how you're going to lead people best. I mean, just imagine, I think about this from time to time, like the times where, people get to see my own like desire to lead is like when I'm serving with them. Like imagine if I led a team, on one of these like Samaritan's Purse trips. I get them to the location where we're going. They're going out every day serving, and I'm staying back.
Mm-hmm.
Like you experience, you grow, you build culture when you're actually side by side with people, like working, sweating, and going about the mission.
I look at that as like even when you're picking up chairs, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you're doing that, when you're doing that with your congregation and they're seeing that, you're modeling. And then
that's right.
I think sometimes I remember we were at a funeral one time, and I think you and I went around and picked up people's plates. And that's just what we kind of do sometimes. We just think of the idea of like, this family's hurting. Why could we not pick up their plates and just throw it away? And I had a couple that came to our church that said, we just never saw that. Like, and that ministered to us. And we were just doing that with our leaders that were already doing it.
Yeah.
And we're just ministering in that way. It's significant.
And this is the point, Nate, that's all about like collaboration. Like this is the area of this 360 like progression of leadership, basically, that it's so much about collaborating with others. And when you're collaborating with others, like kind of the opposite of that is competition.
Yeah.
So you're either collaborating or you're competing. And if you're competing, you're not really the leader that you should be. It's not a competition.
And it is, and I don't know if you've ever felt this, Nate, but you feel like when you're around like a leader that is kind of across from you, and your guys are on the kind of level playing field, that you feel like, well, we feel like there's competition.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst feeling too, of like where we just want to have a relationship. You want to have somebody that you can just kind of talk through openly and not feel like there's competition there, but that does exist. And so it is so important to lead across. We got to lead by example. Some of the things it says, break down silos. I thought that was interesting when he said that, to share knowledge across the teams and create use combined strength. But when we stay in our silos and we're saying, well, this is my area, we're not able to have that give and take that we do, because we say, no, that's our area. That's what I'm gifted at.
Yeah.
Anything else stood out to you about this one, Nate?
I think how important, like this first point under number 2, where it talks about just building trust. If you don't have trust, you can't be a leader. You're not going to lead others until they trust you.
Yeah.
There's a guy by the name of Kevin Plank, and I think he's actually the CEO. I see you got an Under Armour hat on.
I do.
He's actually the Under Armour CEO.
Did you plan that, Nate?
I didn't. I didn't see that before. But this is what he says, dude. I did write this down. Trust is built in drops and it's lost in buckets. So if you think about that, I mean, how important it is to build trust, because it's very quickly you can lose all the trust that people have in you by one decision or, by a series of events. And I think that's, I mean, I don't know if there's a more important point when you talk about this, when you're leading across, than if people aren't trusting you, you're not taking them anywhere. Yeah. You're not like really actually leading together or leading and going anywhere.
I think though, when you choose to be a person that leads across, and other pastors or leaders see that, then they're like, wow, he's really willing to reach out, then I'm going to be willing to reach out. I'm going to be willing to start doing that. So I think it takes kind of our effort to try to lead across, so that other people can begin to actually lead across.
Yeah.
So I think
this is the point where you and I are big on this, like being relatable, being likable. I mean, you can't even put a value on that. Like if you're not relatable, people don't even want to come near you. If you're not likable, people will run the other way. Yeah. So if you're going to lead across, like if you're going to lead with people and collaborate together, the last person somebody's going to want to be around is somebody that's not likable. Yeah. And that was one of his points too, which it's about being genuine. You're not fabricating or trying to be fake, but if you're likable, people are attracted to you.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to one of the things he said too about just choosing to be positive, like avoid criticism, have a constructive attitude, fosters influence and teamwork. So really the idea of like being positive with each other and being able to see the good in another leader and be able to say to another leader that's across the aisle from you, to say, hey, I see how good you are at that, and I noticed this, and it impacts me. And then in that, people might say, well, this is what I see in you. Like it's that give and take going back and forth. It's important.
Listening to people, as hard as it is, like, you know, and maybe that's not like your natural, you know, you're not bent naturally to listening, but you can't overstate how important listening is. Listening, they say, is the purest form of leadership, because if you're not willing to listen to others, how are you really, I mean, you're not taking the value from them. You're not allowing them to, you know, have a say in maybe where, you know, the direction that things are going in. So it's important to listen too.
Yeah.
So.
I just want you to know that I really hate this mic, bro. Every time I'm doing, and it keeps falling down, trying to tighten it multiple times.
See mine, dude? We have the exact same mic. I'll fix it afterward.
I don't know. So John Maxwell says on this point, he says, leading across is about earning influence through consistency, empathy, and shared success. So it goes back to your consistency too, man, of just constantly, and it's about influence.
Yeah. Celebrating other people's wins.
Yeah.
It's fun to do that, man.
Yeah.
If you're genuine, because if you think you can fake celebrating somebody else's win, they'll see right through it.
Yeah.
But if you truly get excited when other people win,
I
mean, that's leading across.
Like
that's when you have the opportunity.
We should be excited when another church grows, or when a church is talking about their successes. Like it goes back to the idea that it's not about building our kingdom, it's about the Lord's kingdom. So why would I not like be excited about a buddy across that's a pastor that's doing incredible things? Like even today I was talking about a guy named David whose church is just growing like crazy, and God uses David Canan all the time. You know what I mean? And why would I not be super pumped for him? I don't have the size church as David. I'm not even close. But the reality is I can lead and we can encourage one another, and it might be a different size of church, but the reality is we need to be there for each other, and we have to keep leading across. And the next one that we have is called leading down, and this empowering and developing team members by believing in their potential, but developing them and creating trust and casting vision and it's something that we all do naturally as a leader. We try to, you know, lead down. Seems like the most common one. You know what I mean? Like you're the leader and then you lead down.
When people think of leadership, this is the one they think of.
Yeah.
But honestly, when, you know, the two that we've already talked about, if you skip those other two, you're not going to be as effective at this third point as you need to be.
Yeah, because you're actually at the right place of leading. Like your heart is right. If you're all about leading down all the time and not about leading across or being willing to lead up. Like I was thinking about this. I always think all the time with Chris Conrad, who's our superintendent, how I can lead up. I always try to think about that way. But I think of my buddies that are around me that are other pastors. How can I lead across? What can I gain from them? But it is true. And the way that we look at is I'm the leader and I'm going to lead down and help people. So
and leading down, man, is all about developing people. Like that's the exciting part about being a leader is you get to develop people. You get to help people to understand like their value, the gifts, like the abilities and talents that God's given to them, how they can employ those, like in our case, like in the church, like to help them to see, you know, the way that God has shaped them. But it's so much more about developing than it is even about directing. Like when you develop them, they're going to know where their value is going to be best, you know, served in the organization or in the church. I think so many times we think of, when we think of like leaning down, it's just like, you know, being like a puppet, like you're directing.
I'm in charge, and it's not. It's like, I also think like, oh my goodness, when you think about leading down, I think about the idea that there is someone that we're leading down to that could be the future pastor here. Someone that we're leading down could be a leader of a way bigger ministry than you could ever dream of. But you were a part of that. But God in that anointing brought that person to another level, but you were a part of that. So you have to look at it from the standpoint that everybody that you have the opportunity to lead with that are from a down perspective could be someone that God has. Like I was thinking, I think it was Billy Graham and different people, and that story of how all of them came through and did different people that ran into each other. And one of them, like I remember way back in the day, a worship leader, I think it was Matt Redman, was talking about the fact that this guy was in a Sunday school class, but he didn't know that one of the greatest worship pastors would actually be in a Sunday school class. Wow. So you have no idea. He's leading down, he's investing, he's pouring into him. Yeah. But that guy was God's anointed that did great things. Sure. So you never know. So you have to look at it that way. So
I think one of my favorite, key points that John Maxwell talks about in this third point of leading down is just this idea of like being visible, being approachable, being present, because presence is going to build trust faster than, just you having a title or you having a position. If you're present with the people you're trying to lead down to, you're going to build that trust with them. Yeah. You don't just automatically get people's trust just because there's a title after your name. And I love that because, man, the thing is like when you have a leader or somebody that's like gotten to the top of the ladder, we'll say, like if they feel untouchable, there's not, you don't just automatically respect them. You don't just automatically trust them just because they've gotten to that point. But as soon as they start like mingling and walking and leading across, then that's the point where it's like, man, they're real. Like they're visible, they're seen, they're present. And I love that part, dude.
I do. And I think I'm not saying that we do the best job at that stuff, but I do think that our hearts in this is good because we don't, I feel this way, that we don't look at ourselves as the leader. We look at ourselves as we're doing this together with people. We're doing this together.
People know, and whether people are available or not. Like, I mean, even like today, like when people drop in, like the guy that, dropped in before we came up here, it's like, if you're not willing to be present, if you're not willing to be available, you walk right past those people and you miss opportunities really, of course, to like show empathy or compassion, but also for those that might be around that see that, like you're too busy to stop, to pause, to like see people. Yeah. And that might have been the person that God put in your path specifically, like divinely in that moment. But if you're too like, high up on the ladder or your position means too much and you don't have time for other people, people recognize that stuff.
Yeah. And I think as leaders, we have to, I think it's important to have a schedule, that there's things that we fall into and have, absolutely. But when a moment comes of crisis and you're there and you're present in that moment with people, there's nothing more that can be more beautiful to their hearts to go, hey, he might not preach that good. He might not do this great. But he was there for me in that moment, and therefore he's my pastor. Yeah, you know what I mean. He's because he cares, and I think that speaks huge.
How amazing, dude! As leaders, the opportunity that we get to see potential in other people.
100%.
I mean, to call it out in other people, to not just see people the way that they are, but to actually see the potential that they have, like to become something else or someone else. I mean, that's awesome. Because then when you start to see that. Dude, that's incredible, man.
I love to be able to like see someone like even like Matt, who's grown, a guy who's actually running our stuff today. He just seeing him grow and step out and pray. And I know there'll be some time where Matt will be on here and we'll talk to him about his story at some point.
We need to get him on next week.
Yeah.
Matt, you available, dude?
And but what I'm saying on that is we want to call that potential out of people. We see it. We know that God has a guy that was playing drums get saved. Now he's working on the staff. He's growing, and we're watching that in Bible study. We have to be willing to say that about people. We have to be willing, and I think when we do that, it encourages people and it raises them to another level in their leadership in a belief that God can do great things in them. So I think, what a great gift that is to be able to invest in and call out that potential in people.
I don't know if I got this off your notes that you put on here, but I mean, this area right here of leading down, Nate, is so much more about developing people than it is about developing performance. Yeah. Like if all you're doing is developing performance or output, you're going to constantly have to rebuild people. Yeah. It's going to be a revolving door. Like if that's all you want from people is their performance, then you're going to constantly be looking for more and more leaders to chew up and to spit out. But if you're if you're really truly about developing people, getting people in the right place where their potential matches the skills, the abilities, the gifts that God's given to them, then I think in those kinds of situations and settings, I mean, people are going to stay around.
Yeah.
Like when you value them for who they are, not what kind of output you get from them, that's pretty significant.
See, and I see that in like some of our staff members, like Courtney, where God has kind of taken her different places, and then we basically have been a part of that journey for her, saying, well, maybe you're good at this, and being able to help see the potential that maybe she didn't see in herself. Yeah. I think a lot of that's been for you too, Nate. You've been really good with that, but now we're seeing Courtney like grow in her faith and stepping out in ways that she never thought that she would, and taking ministry classes. But I think a lot of it is because we've saw the belief in her and we see the gifts that God has. So we want to encourage that out of her to see the potential that maybe she can't see in herself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's when you're helping people to really get on the right seat of the bus. Like, when you're helping people to get into the position that they're actually shaped for, what you're doing is you're putting people in their strength zones, and when that's the case, there's less friction. Yeah, you know, when people aren't really in the right seat on the bus, there's going to be friction. Yeah, but when people have really found their place, there's like a joy about, and it's not even just about ministry. I mean, of course, like that's the kind of table that we sit at, you and I. But I think that's even just in the marketplace. Like if you found the place where your gifts, your abilities match the position that you have, there can actually be a joy about the business that you're working at, or the career that you have. But you have to be willing to like see the position as an opportunity, to be a reflection of Jesus, to shine his light, to connect with others, to see others the way that God sees them. And if you're doing that, then I think work isn't a burden. It's actually a blessing.
I think it's our job as leaders when we're leading down to say, you do a really good job with children's. You do a really good job talking to people. You do a great job teaching. Like, I've heard people pray and go, oh my goodness, you're a prayer warrior. Like being able to call out the things that they might know about themselves, but they've never really taken the time to realize that it's an actual gift that they actually have. So I think the best way that we can actually lead down is just calling out the potential of people, being able to see it, like recognize it and saying, man, you're so good at that. The other day, your daughter was in the office and I just said to her, I go, Kendall, you're just always so nice. Like she might not even think of that as like something significant, but when you're kind, it's huge. And recognizing that and even calling some of those things out in people, it's so significant. So I think it says, John Maxwell says, leading down is about bringing out the best in others, not just managing tasks. So that's really, really good.
It's about trying to multiply the good. It's about multiplication, trying to multiply the good that's going on in a ministry or in an organization, not about just having control over people. Yeah, like calling it out is you, of course, in a position of like leadership or authority, but calling things out in people, trying to multiply in them their own gifts, their own strengths, so that the ministry, organization, or whatever can continue to move forward.
That's good. The next one that we had down was called self-leadership, and it's the foundation that he says of the 360-degree leadership model. Before leading others, you have to lead yourself. And I always think of that when they're in the airplane and the plane's going down, and the first thing that they tell you is to put the mask on yourself so that you're able to help the other person. Like you have to help yourself. And
let me just stop.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you don't lose your train.
I know what you're doing right now.
Dude, if the plane's going down, are you putting that mask on?
I honestly, you think that I wouldn't, but I actually think that I would put it on first. So I think I would.
I'm not talking about you putting it on before, like you put it on like Lindsay or Isaac or somebody else. I'm talking about like in your mind, the plane is going down. If that's when the masks drop. Yeah. Like you're actually going to be thinking about putting that thing on like that.
You don't think I can, but I just want to tell you in very difficult moments that are crazy, I
you
step
respond
up. I
under
respond.
control.
Like COVID, I responded, bro.
Okay.
So I think I would. I think I do a good job on
Back
that.
to
Way to call me out right now and say, anyway, I'm okay though.
I'm really actually calling myself out, dude. I don't think I'm thinking about any of that. I'm just wondering how long before the plane.
I have confidence in myself that in that moment I'm gonna do good with that.
Very good. I'm okay with that.
Looking at this self-leadership though, it's been an area though in my own life though that I've had to really focus on, because I think that we do a good job leading. You're in that positional leadership. But one thing that I've realized over the years is that I need a pastoral coach. You know what I mean? I need to not be afraid to go to counseling. I need to make sure that my marriage is good, so I'm not afraid to sit down with somebody that I respect to talk about my marriage. You know, so how in the world can I preach on Sunday and not get some help so that I can make sure that I'm healthy to be able to get on the stage and preach? And am I always healthy? No. But there is a desire in my heart to strive to be healthy and have that self-leadership so that I could be the leader that I should be. Am I always the leader that I should be? No. But do I strive to be that leader? Do I do the proper work to try to make sure that I am that kind of leader? And I think this is something that's very, very missed. And even some of the challenges of friends that we know that have not, I wouldn't say crashed and burned, but are not finishing well, it makes us really sad. You know what I mean? Because I think somewhere in there you lead, but you don't take care of yourself to actually grow. What do you think about that, man?
I mean, leadership, we know, is an inside out process. If you're not caring for what's inside, like what's going to come outside or what's going to be shown is not going to be good. And that's very obvious. I mean, and it doesn't even take years and years and years for that to actually be put on display. Like, I mean, he gives a great list of just some key areas of self-leadership. I think this first one, when it talks about like emotions, if you don't control your emotions will control your influence. I mean, I mean, like people know if there's things that are going on inside, and then you lose your ability to influence others if you allow your emotions to be what leads. In a negative way.
And and just to be honest on there's times when I've let my emotions come out and it has done damage. It's not, but then there's other times where you grow in that, where you're coming at a place where you're like, no, the emotions are not going to come out. I'm going to get away. I'm going to breathe. And I think it's okay when you feel yourself getting emotional or you want to respond or you're hurting, is to just say, hey, I need a minute. And so you can walk away from the situation, because the way that you respond in your emotion doesn't do any good, you know? So,
but then if you have allowed your emotions to really dictate your influence, I mean, then you have an opportunity to go back and you have to go back then and make it right. I mean, you admit, apologize, you confess, like, you let people down, you didn't handle something right. And then that's an opportunity then to continue to put drops in the bucket of people who trust you, rather than just dumping out the bucket and just, hoping that one day it's going to fill back up. The second area he talks about is just this area of time, and how you spend your time. We know this is how you spend your life. I mean, do you spend your life on your phone? Do you spend your life, just sitting around and, allowing time to go to waste and just wasting the time that you have?
So if you don't have time to read your word, if you don't have time to say, hey, I want to work on that area of my life that's not good, you know what I'm saying? Or to go to a retreat so you can grow, or to go to a coach to help, you have to put the time in to actually allow yourself to have that kind of leadership to help you be the kind of leader that you should be. So it's interesting.
I love this next one, dude, where he talks about priorities, because I think when we think of priorities, I think we tend to think of like a to-do list, like this is what I have to do. But he actually talks about a stop doing list. And that's where you begin to see like what your priorities actually are. When you're willing to stop doing certain things, then all of a sudden, like the things that you should be doing are the things you're doing.
Yeah.
But we have to evaluate how we're spending our time, what our priorities are. And then if there's priorities that it's like, you know what, that really shouldn't be a priority and take it out, then all of a sudden the things that you should be doing, the priorities that really should be at the top of the list, actually have the time for you to go about them.
That's good. I agree. He also talks about like your personal life is maintaining integrity and consistency in all areas, not just work. So the idea of really like looking at your life and understanding, you know, how in the world am I growing in myself and the things that I do in all areas of my life. So I look at this as, am I just growing as a leader or am I growing in my marriage? Am I growing as a father? Am I growing in my anger issues or in these struggles that I have? Like looking at self-leadership is not just your leadership. It's also looking at every area in your life and saying where are areas. So sometimes I know it sounds stupid, Nate, but I have some goals on, this is my marriage goals. These are my father goals. These are my, you know, having time with the Lord type of goals, just so that I am looking at that whole realm of self-leadership and so that I could be a good model to my family. I'm not saying that I'm always the most perfect, but it's like really looking at leadership, self-leadership from different areas.
Yeah.
What's that? It says, John Maxwell says, self-leadership is not about perfection, but daily discipline. It's the starting point for influencing others across and down. So I'm going to kind of give you these questions, Nate, that we're going to kind of talk through. These are kind of powerful self-reflection questions. And it said, I like this, but it says, what should I start, stop, or keep doing to access your leadership behaviors? So what should I start doing? What should I stop? And what should I keep doing? And it's almost like making a list and like writing it down. You know, I don't have anything much to say, but I like the question. I think that,
I mean, all of these are good, you know, questions for people to think on themselves. I mean, that's again, it's talking about not as much what you should be doing. Well, I mean, it kind of does. What are the things that you should keep doing? But also every one of us, you, me included, there's probably a whole list of things that we should stop doing. And it's not because they're bad. It's just because maybe they're good and they're not great. Or maybe they're things that really don't matter when it's all said and done. And yet, like, we keep doing them just because that's what we've always done, or we feel like it's a priority, when those are maybe some of the things that we've got to let go of and stop doing.
Well, I think it's kind of cool when you look at the tasks that you do in your job sometimes and say, hey, what of this should I stop be doing? What should I start doing that I'm not noticing? What is actually on this job description or the things that I do is the right things to be doing, you know, and to be able to assess that with somebody is good too. So let me give you another one. Would I follow myself? To evaluate your credibility and your example, to ask yourself that question. I think when you do that self-evaluation, I think it's really good to look at it. I think it really puts you in a place to say, okay, to write, maybe with that. I know whenever I do questions like that, I try to answer it on a piece of paper and just write it out so that I can kind of be thinking on that. What's your thought on that one, Nate?
I mean, you're not a leader if nobody's following you. And if nobody's like following, even though everyone has people looking at them, like kind of watching, you know, how they, what their actions are. I mean, there's always people like in our sphere of influence, but if people aren't following you, you're not really a leader. And I mean, I think it comes back to this. If people aren't following us, like, would we follow ourselves? Asking ourselves that question. I mean, and then allowing ourselves to be honest. It's like, and if we're honest, then there's probably things that, you know what, if I was trying to follow a person that did this like I do, I probably wouldn't want to follow them. Then those are things that you got to begin to cut out, you know, purge and cut off from, you know, yourself.
But I think we have to recognize those things. We have to really write it down and say, okay, what are something that I need to improve in that? Here's another one. Am I leading myself well? So that's a good one. Like, to ask yourself that question, like, am I growing in Christ? Am I am I being the kind of father that I should be? Am I being the kind of husband that I should be? Or am I being the kind of Christian that I should be? Or the kind of leader? Like, so and how am I growing in those areas is, I think, significant.
Yeah. Then the last one, question number 4, am I genuinely interested in the people around me? And that's good. I mean, because again, you don't fake these kind of things. Like, you can't fake being interested in people. And people can tell whether you truly care or whether it's your job or it's like a title, it's your position. You have to be there because that's your position. People will see right through that kind of stuff. And it's a good question, man. It really is. So
I hope that, like, in this though, that we can look as leaders, how can we lead up? You know, how can we lead across the aisle? How can we, you know, lead down to the people that God has given us the opportunity to be in the positions that we are? And then really, what am I doing to be the best leader that I can be to grow in my faith? So leadership is not just this way. It's all those different areas that we have to look at when we look at ourselves as a leader. So we have to look at each of these and ask the question, how am I leading up? How am I leading across? How am I leading down? And how am I doing on my self-leadership? How am I growing in my own individual leadership? So it's very good. John Maxwell's the man. So.
The reality, and I'll say this, and then I'll just do our closing words. The reality is, you know, we're all leading already in these directions in one way or another.
And we might not even realize it, but we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So the question isn't, are you leading? The question is, how well are you leading? Because you're leading, are you doing it well, or are you doing it, you know, out of the little bit you have left, you know, as far as like your time goes, or, you know, your empathy, like the heart capacity that you have to like care for others. That's why it's so important that you have to take time for yourself. You have to, you know, lead yourself well first. So as we close, next week, I'm excited. We get to interview Pedro.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome, man.
Such a great young guy.
Just been growing in the Lord, man.
Yeah.
Taking the steps that.
Got some cool stories, dude. We got to get him to, don't forget, we got to ask him about that Uber trip he had. Did you hear about it?
Yeah, I did hear a little bit about it.
But he'll have to tell us about that.
He stepped in some amazing growth, man.
Yeah.
So next week's going to be awesome to hear from him.
Yeah, going to share his testimony with us. So that's exciting. Also, want to tell you about some exciting events we have coming up. So you'll be listening to this today. But coming up this Sunday, March 22nd from 3 o'clock to 4:30 is our Easter extravaganza. Are you going to be there?
There's a ton of people coming.
Are you going to be there
of course.
with your bunny suit on?
I don't know if I'm going to put a bunny suit on.
If I get one, dude, from Amazon, will you wear it?
I don't know, man.
Please.
I don't know. You know, you got to watch
Either
out.
an Easter bunny or like I'll get you a big egg costume.
Do you know that
something.
Micah has something he wants to do to you? So if you put one of those blow up things on again, he has this fart spray that he wants to spray in there. Okay, so he has thought about when we wear that again, that his goal is to put that in your. So be ready, bro. You better watch out.
I'm not wearing one of those again. But that's this Sunday. We're excited about that. And then the Friday after that, our Good Friday service at 12. And then leading into Palm Sunday, you know, in the start of the Holy Week. And then we've got our Road to the Resurrection.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Pretty exciting.
So and let me just say something about that if I can. It's really you coming in the student center and walking around and taking you through these different ways that the stations of the resurrection, and it's powerful. And so the student center is going to be open, I think, all that week pretty much
from
for
people
1 to
7
for people to come in and just to experience. There'll be music, there'll be a host in there kind of taking you through that experience. You'll kind of do that on your own, but it's going to be pretty awesome.
For those that might not have a local church that they connect to in our community, we'd always love to invite you to come be a part of Stoney Church. Our services are at 9 and 11, and we'd love to have you come visit us. So,
and on Easter, it's at 7, 9, and 11, too, just so everybody know, too, just to remind you on that. So
that's right. Yeah, that's right. And if you've been encouraged today at all by this little leadership conversation, anything that you've heard, would love to have you share this on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, or YouTube. There's been actually like 2 or 3 people lately didn't realize they can actually watch us.
Really?
They thought they only had to hear us.
Oh,
so
okay.
they might be tuned in to watch us. So that's pretty cool.
I actually like hearing better than watching. I don't know. Have you watched many times?
Can't say I have.
No, I listen all the time. I think one time
Why do I want to
watched.
look at myself?
Yeah, I don't want to. That's how it is.
Yeah,
especially when I'm messing with the mic the whole thing.
The whole time. I'm going to fix that, dude.
I know.
Okay. All right. Well, let me pray for us as we close. All right. God, we thank you for this day. And we thank you that you have given each and every one of us the capacity to lead and the opportunity to lead. And Lord, I'd pray for those that might even, be listening who don't really see themselves as leaders, God, to really be mindful that in each of these ways, we do lead this 360-degree leadership. So God, help us to be disciplined, help us to be faithful, help us to be intentional in each one of these areas of our lives, Lord, so that we don't miss opportunities in our service, in our actions, in our love, to just lead others the way that you would have us to do. God bless those who may hear this, may be challenged or even inspired to take the next step in their own leadership. God, I pray you'll give them the ability to do that. God, we thank you for the opportunity that we have in this platform that we have to just sit and talk and just to be grateful for the opportunities that you give to each and every one of us to lead others. So bless those who hear this. And thank you again, God, for these times together. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. We're so glad that you're here.
If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself, but share it with a friend and help grow our podcast community.
We'd love to see you this Sunday at Stoney Church, services at 9 or 11 a.m.
We're dropping the next episode next Wednesday at 12 noon.
Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.
Join us then, and until next time, stay inspired.
And see you soon.